Welcome to ADHDifference Strategies, practical tools for beautifully different brains. I'm your host, Julie Legg, author of The Missing Piece and diagnosed with ADHD at 52. This is a companion to our main podcast, ADHDifference, where we explore lived experiences of ADHD. But here in Strategies, we focus on what works, how to make it stick, and the science behind it all. So, here's the thing. If you've ever tried every productivity hack under the sun and still ended up frustrated, you're not alone. Structure, planning, sticking to routines, all the things that should work often feel like sandpaper to an ADHD brain. Let's say you're using a coffee machine. A good coffee machine doesn't just make coffee. It makes it easy to figure out which button to press, when to refill the water, and how to clean it. You're not standing there overwhelmed reading a manual. It feels intuitive. That's UX design, short for user experience design. It's the process of making sure that a product like your coffee machine or a website or even a train station layout works for the user, not just in theory, but in practice. UX designers ask, what does the user actually need? Where might they get stuck or frustrated? How can we design it so it's clear, easy, and enjoyable to use? Now, imagine applying that to your life with ADHD. You're the user, your brain is unique. So instead of expecting yourself to run it on default systems built for neurotypical brains, you get to design your own supports. Just like a good app adjusts to how people actually behave, you can adjust your habits, tools, and environment to how your brain naturally works. That's what Laurence Pratt's strategy is all about. Designing for your lived experience, not for some abstract ideal. As a former UX designer and now ADHD coach, he knows a thing or two about how to go about it all. Let's hear from Laurence.
And so that's identifying the ways in which you like to learn, or the way that you digest information, and what your passions are, and the other things are the things that tend to be tripping you up. This helps us to understand how you operate, and by knowing what those are, what's the top of those lists, it gives us a good idea of what we might need to think about when we come to design a solution for any particular challenge. We say, well, you're more likely to go and want to tackle this like that, but then this is going to rear its head. So it's very interesting, almost like Lego bricks.
Rather than forcing yourself into systems built for neurotypicals, this approach asks, what actually works for me? When does my brain come alive? What feels frictionless? What tools help, not just in theory, but today? So, why does this work? Because it shifts the whole frame. Traditional systems tells us, here's what works, now go and fit yourself into it. But the ADHD brain isn't designed for cookie-cutter systems. It's interest-based, emotionally driven, and highly responsive to context, which means when we design around the way our brains naturally operate, things finally start to click. UX thinking begins with empathy. Instead of asking, why can't I stick to a routine? We ask, what's getting in the way? Is the tool too boring? Is the timing off? Is the task too big or the space too noisy? This mindset is powerful because it makes space for your nervous system, not just your schedule. Flexibility, not rigidity. And most of all, experimentation over perfection. This strategy really shines in moments where traditional advice just doesn't cut it. You know, the moments when planners gather dust, motivations disappear, and you're left wondering why nothing is sticking. Here are a few times when a UX mindset can actually help. When you get stuck in, I should be able to do dot, dot, dot. You know what needs to happen. You know even the steps, but your brain won't budge. This is where you stop trying harder and start designing smarter. Ask yourself, what could make this task feel easier, more obvious, or more appealing? Could I try it at a different time of day? Can I pair it with music or movement? Can I remove just one tiny piece of friction? When procrastination keeps winning, instead of spiraling into guilt, get curious. What's actually the barrier? Confusion, overwhelm, dread, boredom, maybe? Once you spot it, you can redesign around it with small tweaks. When you're trying to build a habit and it won't stick, you're not failing, you're just in version 1.0. Maybe the tool is fine, but the timing is off, or maybe you just need a gentler on ramp. And you can use this strategy when traditional solutions leave you feeling like you're the problem. You've tried the right strategies and they don't fit. That doesn't mean you're broken. It just means that the system wasn't designed with your brain in mind. You don't need to be a UX designer to use this strategy. In fact, you've probably already used it every time you made a task more doable by changing how, when, or where you approached it. What makes this method powerful is intention. Instead of pushing harder, you step back and observe, and then you tweak the setup so your brain can get on board. Here's how to do that in a few ADHD friendly ways. Start with curiosity, not self judgment. When something's not working, ask what's going on here, what might make this easier next time. Map your friction points. Where are you getting stuck exactly? Is it getting started? Remembering the task? Switching gears? Or is it following through? Lean in on what's already working. Take a look at your day. What flows easily? When do you feel focused, creative, or calm? What tools or rhythms help, even if they are a bit unconventional? Make tweaks, not overhauls. You don't need a full lifestyle makeover. Ask, what 10% shift would make this easier? What would version 2.0 of this task or habit look like? Sometimes just changing the order of the things that you do or moving your workspace around is enough to unlock momentum. Test and learn. Design thinking is all about prototyping. That means you try something, you learn from the outcome and adjust it. No shame, no failure, just a new version to play with. Now, if you're wondering if this is just a vibe, it's not. There is science behind it too. First, ADHD impacts executive functioning. That's our ability to plan, prioritize, and regulate our actions. But when these systems falter, we can spiral into frustration and shame. But design thinking offers a framework that aligns beautifully with the ADHD brain. A study on adults with ADHD found that when tasks had novelty, like competition or bonus or variation, the ADHD group generated more original ideas. That shows novelty and variation activates motivation and creativity. Research has also found that people with ADHD often prefer smaller immediate rewards over larger delayed ones, and their brains respond differently when delays are involved. That means short wins matter. In other words, designing your life so you can get more micro wins, novelty, and tools that match your brain is not fluff, it's neurologically smart. Laurence's story and this strategy is such a refreshing reminder that success with ADHD is not about pushing harder, it's about designing smarter, designing with kindness and experimentation. So when we stop trying to be someone we're not and start designing for who we are, that's when things shift and that's when life gets easier. So the next time something isn't working, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what's the next version I can try? A big thanks again to Laurence for sharing this strategy and for being part of the broader ADHD difference conversation. If you'd like to hear more from that episode, head over to our main series. You'll be looking for Season 1, Episode 19, to hear more of his ADHD journey. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. For more practical tools for beautifully different brains, hit the subscribe button.